Hi everyone, welcome to or welcome back to my channel So Little Time, and my name is Karen. So I hope you're all doing really well and thank you very much for joining me today. Today's video is going to be a review all about the Sew Over It Amelia jacket, and I have made this in collaboration with Felicity Fabrics, who I am a brand ambassador for. They have kindly gifted me the fabric in return for a blog post which has gone live today, so I will link that in the description box below for you, just in case you want to go and have a look at all the photos and my write-up about it, but I will be going into full details about it on this video today. So the Sew Over It Amelia jacket has been on my radar for a little while, but it jumped the queue after seeing Rachel from Stitched Up was going to be making it as part of the Jacket January for the Northern Soul Sisters sort of community sew. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to have a go at doing it. And I knew I wasn't going to get it done in time for like finishing it in January. There was just no way, but yeah, I'm really pleased with how my jacket has turned out. It took me a little longer to sew than I first thought because it is quite an involved make and there is quite a bit of hand sewing involved in it as well, which is not my favourite thing to do, but in hindsight it went really well, so I'm really pleased with how the hand sewing has gone. So the Sew Over It Amelia jacket then is a sort of classic bomber style jacket, so it's quite cropped. It has a collar, it does it with a zip, and it has elasticated cuffs and a waistband, and this is for an intermediate sewer. And I would agree with that actually, because there are quite a few steps in the process of making this garment up. So yeah, like I say, it took me a little longer than first thought, but I am really pleased with how it went, and also I did learn a little bit as well along the way, so that's always great. The sizing range for this pattern, it comes in sizes 8 through to 20, and that's a bust of 33 inches to 45 inches, a waist of 26 inches to 40 inches, and a hip of 36 inches to 48 inches. Now I have made the straight size 12 and I have made no changes to it whatsoever, so this is just as standard. If I was to make it again, the changes that I would make would be to perhaps lengthen the bodice slightly by about an inch, and also the sleeves maybe by 1 to 2 centimetres, just a smidge short I'm finding those. But overall, I am really happy with how it is fitting on me. And it also does have as well bust darts on the front of the jacket, so it does give that little bit of shaping as well. So this is a very sort of cropped style jacket, which is completely different to any of the other outerwear that I've got. So this is one of the reasons that I wanted to give it a go, because I thought it would be nice to wear over dresses in the spring, summertime, just for that little bit of cover when you need it. And it would just sit nicely with dresses, you know, because sometimes when I'm going out and I just want to wear a lightweight jacket, the only thing I've really got is like my lightweight raincoat, and that's not always the prettiest thing to wear. But yeah, so I've got it on today with my Colette Moneta dress, which I also did for Felicity Fabrics, and I really like how this looks together, and the waist sits perfectly on the natural waist along the seam line, so that's really nice. So the fabric that I've made mine in is a very lightweight sort of baby needle cord, and it's really, really soft. Really am pleased with this fabric, and I love the colour. I think it's really, really pretty, and it's quite a nice warming colour for my skin tone as well. And I thought that it would go over quite a lot of my garments that I've already got as well. So yeah, I'm hoping to insert some photos at the end of this video on how I am styling it up. So I'll go into a little bit more detail about the jacket itself then. So it's got this really nice collar, which you don't always find on a bomber jacket. A lot of the bomber jackets kind of have a ribbed collar. So this one is just a little bit more dressy, I would say, not as dressed, sort of relaxed style as the bomber jacket styles. And I just interfaced one of the sections of the collar, so I wanted it to be a bit more of a relaxed style. I didn't want it to be too stiff, and I do feel that it just sits really nicely, so I'm really pleased with that. The zip went in really well. It took me a few goes to get it right, in that I sewed it too close to the teeth initially, and I was catching the fabric, so I had to unpick that, and I don't think I had it lined up adequately on another go. So yeah, it took me about 3 goes, I think, to get the zip in. Now you actually have to buy a 22-inch zip as standard, and then you need to shorten it to the length of your jacket. So I was a little bit worried about that initially, because I've never shortened a zip before, especially a metal zip. You know, I've shortened a plastic one where you just snip it across the top or the bottom or whatever, but I've never done that on a metal one. So it was actually lucky that I searched on YouTube to see if there was a sew along for this jacket, because I know Lisa has done quite a few sew alongs for her patterns, but she hadn't done one for this particular pattern, unfortunately. But Claire from Claire Who Makes Things had videoed a part of her making up her version, so I really appreciated that. So thank you, Claire, because that really did help me out with the zip situation. And I did message Rachel from Stitch Up and said, you know, what are you doing about the zip? And I think because she'd lengthened her pattern, she ended up buying the zip length correct for her jacket. But because I hadn't lengthened mine, I knew I was going to have to shorten it, because I wasn't going to be able to find a zip the right length as standard, unfortunately. So watching Claire's video really did help me out, because she did a step-by-step sort of demonstration as to how she shortened it and what tool she used. So that was really good, because I took a screenshot of the tool, sent it to Simon whilst he was at work and said, have you got one of these in your toolkit? And he said, yeah, go and have a look in the garage. And lo and behold, there was one in there. It was a little bit rusty, but there was one in there and it was brilliant. So I won't lie, it was quite a go getting the teeth off, and I was a bit worried that I was going to wreck the zip, especially because I'd had to order it because I couldn't get one local to me, so I had to order it, and it took a few days to turn up. So I was worried that because I was on a deadline that it wasn't going to arrive in time. But anyway, it went absolutely fine. I managed to shorten the zip, and I had to take about, I don't know, 6 or 7 zip teeth out to get it to the right length. And then what you have to do is ensure that you leave enough seam allowance at the bottom and at the top for the zip to be sort of installed that way, so you are able then to sew the bottom and the top adequately, so it is like the zip is all enclosed, if that makes any sense at all. I marked the bottom with a friction pen, but in hindsight, I think when I installed the zip, even though I basted it in place, I do think it might have shifted a little bit, because I only had about 1 centimetre of fabric to play with when I came around to finishing the bottom of the jacket. So I'm going to stand back so you can see it in a little bit more detail. So as you can see, the bust darts are here, and it's a very cropped jacket which is sitting right on my natural waist, and you can see this is the error that I'm going to point out, that this side is slightly longer than this side, and that is because I didn't have enough seam allowance there to sew that properly. I did struggle, even though I was using my zip foot, to sew across there, because the bottom of the zip was getting in the way, because that's the side with the bulkier section of the zip as well. So it's finished with this 2-inch wide elastic, and you insert that after you have added the waistband onto the bottom of the jacket. But what you have to do before that is to gather the bottom of the jacket along the outside and along the lining, and then sort of pin it in place along the actual waistband, and then you insert the elastic after you've sewed that in place. And what I did for the elastic was that I just sort of fed it through and then worked out what felt comfortable, and then cut it to size, rather than using the sort of length that they told me to use. And I did the same for the cuffs as well, so it has elasticated cuffs as well. Really do like that feature, but since adding those the elastic into the cuffs there, I have found that they feel a little bit more shorter than what the jacket felt like before I'd added those in. So that's why I think next time I would perhaps add 1 centimetre or 2, just to give me that little bit more length, you know, to there. I think it's when I'm moving around that they kind of reeve up a little bit, but I haven't done them too tight, because I don't want them really tight to my wrist. So that was why it was nice to sort of just feed them through and check the size of that. What I will say is that there is a lot of hand sewing in this, and I'm not very favourable about hand sewing. It's not my forte, that is for sure, but I have to say that I'm really pleased with my hand sewing and how the finish is on the inside. It covers all of the raw edges because it's fully lined, and it looks really, really neat as well. So when I inserted the elastic, I think I had to hand sew on the inside of this one, the gap closed, and then on this one I actually had the gap on the outside, so I had to hand sew that section down there, which I think looks absolutely fine. I've done a pretty good job of making that invisible. But yeah, that's one thing to remember, is make sure you have the cuffs on the right way round. Yeah, so I'll show you the jacket undone as well. So it's fully lined, and I've used this lovely sort of burgundy fabric that came in the So Hayley Jane subscription box. Now I don't subscribe to that, but a friend actually gave it to me because she wasn't going to use it, so it's come in really, really handy, so thank you so much for that. And I really do like the contrast with the colours. I was initially a little bit worried that it was going to be a bit dark and change the colour of the outside of the jacket, because this fabric is fairly lightweight, but I don't think it has done, and I'm just really, really pleased that it's worked out. And yeah, the colour contrast looks really, really nice. So across the bottom you can see here that it's kind of gathered into place, and then you slip stitch that closed, so that is what I have done. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with how that is looking, and yeah, I like the way that you can have this jacket undone or done up, you know, and it's nicely gathered at the back as well, so that kind of gathers in really nicely. And then you do gather the sleeve head to put that in. It is kind of off my shoulder a little bit, so I don't know if that I should have done a narrow shoulder adjustment on this, but it's comfortable and I think it looks okay, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I really like the fit on it actually, and it's nice to be able to wear it either undone or done up. So yeah, you know, I think that will serve me well in the spring and summer months on various garments that I've got in my wardrobe, fingers crossed. So I am hoping to insert some video, or rather photo footage, at the end of this, so you can see how I am styling it up, so you can just get a better view of it. But I'll just sort of see if I can stand back a bit. I don't know if I can really. So I've got it on with my Colette Moneta, yeah, and I like how that looks with it. And I'm going to try it on with my dungarees, my teal dungarees, which I've not tried on with them yet, but I'll see how they look. But yeah, overall, really pleased with the jacket. I enjoyed the sew. It took me a little bit longer than I thought, but it's nice sometimes just to take your time to make sure that you get the job done accurately as possible, even though I have that little flaw, but I don't think anybody else is going to notice. It's just that I know it's there. And there wasn't a lot I can do about it, unfortunately, because the zip was already in place, and you know, I was just like, and everything with the lining was in. There was no way I was going to do any unpicking. I was on a deadline at the end of the day. Yeah, and if I was to make it again, I might make those very small changes of adding a little bit of length, but otherwise, yeah, really pleased with it, and I think it will get a lot of wear. If I was to make it again as well, I think I might use a heavier weight style fabric, just to have it as a sort of more wintry style, I suppose, for other garments. But I think this is going to be perfect for the spring and summer. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. I did make this completely on my sewing machine as well, so that is another good thing about this pattern, is that I did not touch my overlocker once. You don't have to finish any of the seams, so I think that's really good, as all of the raw edges are fully enclosed because of the lining on the inside. And as it's my first go at doing a fully lined jacket, I'm really pleased with how it looks. And yeah, I just took my time with the hand sewing. Luckily the rugby was on yesterday, so I finished it yesterday whilst that was on, so that was quite nice. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. Please do leave me a comment. Let me know if this is a jacket on your radar to make, or if you have already had a go at making it. And I will link Claire's video down below, just in case you ever need to use it. And I'll also link the pattern as well, as alongside my blog post. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Take care. See you soon. Bye.